Yo, what's up, guys? Got David Hensley joining the Instagram live today. He's like a Panther Platform guru, knows a lot about Panthers. I've never met him before. G is really cool. One Bad Panther is really cool with him. Um, so yeah, we're gonna have him joining tonight. He actually just joined in live. I have some questions here for him. Hopefully, he can give us some answers. What's up, Base King? That issue that you're in, man, is gonna release soon. I think it's issue 26, which I haven't put out yet, but that's the next one to get ordered. I just dropped 23 to 25, so yeah, I've heard good things about David. So what's up, Grey White? What's up, everybody? The Clean Mitch. It's good. It's good. I have a YouTube video dropping later. Um, it's a short video. I hung out with my friend Andrew, who helps me work on the merch. Finally got my window up. For all you guys that know that my window didn't go up for a while. We got it up, but unfortunately, um, I didn't order the right part. I got the window motor for the wrong side of the car, so I'm gonna have to get another one. Don't know how I did that, but mistakes happen. So, not sure if David is still on here. Sending you an invite. There's a notification. There's a video button right here next to the comment bar. It should pop up there. Once you press that, you should be able to join. I'll try to invite you again. So, I have an issue with my 98 convict LS. It shuts off due to fuse number 7. Uh, I'll have to see, man. I can make a post and see. I'm not too sure. Fuse number 7. Yeah, I can make a post and see what's going on. Should I weld my diff? I'm not sure. I know I know a lot of guys do replace the differentials. I'm not sure if they weld them. Um, I think my boy Andrew, I was at his house today. I'm pretty sure he welded his. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you have the means to do it, I'd do it. Nothing's popped up yet. Let me see. Invite. It says just invited David. See if I can do it this way. Or we know what else you can do, David, is the one of those buttons there, the two people, I think, with the plus sign. I think you can press that and request to join the live, and I can just accept it that way. No, it's actually the button right next to the comment section. One of those buttons will give you the opportunity to um, request to join, and I can just accept it. So I've been sending requests. I'm not sure why it's not working. Less than 170 is not bad, man. There's still a lot of life left on that car. There we go. Oh, that's ghosted. What up, Ghost Vic? Oh,
Hey, that worked.
hey, what's up, David?
All right. Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
doing all right.
It's nice to meet you, man. I've heard great things about you.
Yeah.
Nice. So we have David Hensley here. G refers to as the Panther Platform guru. Um, the
A lot
man
of
that
people,
knows.
a lot of people call me by that. Other people call me wizard, god, deity. I mean, everyone's got their own nicknames.
That's awesome. That's really
Know it
cool.
all, smart ass.
Whatever works, man.
Yep.
Um, so I noticed that you're into Legos.
Yeah.
One of your main hobbies. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I am what's called an AFOL, an adult fan of Lego.
Cool.
I'm actually one of the administrators of the local club, with the Seattle Lego User Group, which has about 400 members.
Okay.
We meet monthly with about 80 people attending our monthly meetings. And to give you an example, I brought these.
Oh, that's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen that in person. I've seen the AI AR art. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So how long did it take you to make those or put those together?
those ones are probably only a few hours.
That's not
Those are small
bad.
and simple.
That's pretty cool. I can imagine they
Mhm.
get more like the more things you work on.
Yeah, like I mostly build trains and large
Nice.
trucks. So the train I'm working on right now, I've been working on since March and just now getting finished.
That's
So,
really cool. That's really cool. So the Godfather. See, someone just called you the Godfather.
yep, here's that.
That's really cool. So how many Panther Platform Facebook pages do you moderate?
I think 8 of them now.
Wow. So what's like the top two or the top three pages that you moderate? Unless it's a super
Um,
secret from
let's see,
everybody.
size-wise, we've got Crown Victoria Outlaws, Crown Victoria Interceptors, Owners and Fans, Crown Victoria P71, P7B, uh, Crown Victoria 2005 through 2011,
Nice.
and they just kind of keep going from there.
That's insane. So like on average, how many hours do you spend a day like responding to questions and stuff like that?
Let me make sure my wife's not listening.
Oh man.
Probably it's all day. Um, if you add it all up, it's probably around 5 hours a day.
Wow.
But yeah, it's all day. I'm always getting notifications, always getting
Yeah,
messaged. Probably about 50 to 100 people message me every single day.
I can relate. It gets a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
It gets a lot. I can imagine. Especially you
Hmm.
know as much as you know in regards to the cars. I can only imagine how many messages you get.
Yeah.
So,
It never ends.
but hey, that's the joy of the Panther platform, especially when you're an enthusiast. So, when did you get into Panthers exactly, and why?
I bought my first one back in 2010. Um, Started off as a just cheap car. Back then, you could get a nice one at auction for like $500.
Yeah,
Gone are those days, but
those
yeah,
days are long gone.
yeah. Got hooked from there. I'm now on my seventh one as a daily driver, and I've parted out another 30 of them.
Wow,
Hmm.
that is insane. Those are some big numbers, man.
Yeah.
You must have a huge driveway.
No, no, no. I only have one or two at a time. So right now I only have one, which is a 2008.
Nice, nice. So, like, what are the biggest mistakes or misinformation you see people make, or spread when it comes to these cars? I can only imagine you see a lot of stuff that's not accurate.
Yeah, there is a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, there's a classic "Where's the cop chip," which
Yep.
started off as a joke, but a lot of people seem to believe it. Um, there's the myth that everyone seems to think that the police ones have a better engine or a better transmission, better or factory supercharger. Just not realizing that nope, they're completely identical to the civilian models
Yeah,
mechanically. The only difference is steeper gear and dual exhaust, and over and up have a larger air intake.
that's crazy.
Um, and as for mistakes, well, people do like to run them into the ground. A lot of people like to abuse them.
Yep.
Um, then there's things like wheel bearings that people will ignore the screaming sound until their axle shaft snaps. Uh, you also get people who will try to mount a winch on their push bar,
Hmm.
and the first time they use it, they rip the entire front end of their car off. Yeah,
You
but
see it
yeah,
all.
the biggest mistake though is people just not doing proper maintenance, not taking care of the car. A lot of people try to improve performance by swapping coil packs, injectors, spark plugs, but I mean, you talked about this with Marty last month, but there's not really any gains to be had there.
Yep. That's interesting. So, what are like the top three things to keep an eye on, in your opinion, when it comes to a Panther?
So when you're buying one, first and foremost, look for rust. Rust kills these cars, especially in the back half of the front fenders and behind the rocker panel covers. You should remove your rocker panel covers every year and clean them out.
Yep.
Because if you've never done it before, you'll find that is full of dirt and mud, and that's just acting as a sponge, keeping water against your metal, and it's all going to rust away, rot away. Same thing with the wiper motor tray. You got to clean that out at least once a year. It gets full of leaves and dirt and pine needles and kills the motor. Um, Other things to look out for are wheel bearings. They're a wear item on these cars. They're usually due for replacement around 130,000 miles. If you're into the P71s, police always get rid of them at 100,000 miles. So shortly after you get it, it's time. And pretty much all of the suspension components, all of the bushings would be worn out by that point too. So you're buying at this point, a 20-year-old car. So
Yep.
you have to know that there are things that will be wrong with it, not because, they're bad cars or because they're problems, just because they're old. Sometimes
Sure.
things need to be replaced.
Especially like you said on a 20-year-old car, you can't expect everything to be brand new like it was when it released. So,
Yeah. And the biggest thing to look out for, though, is just look at the overall condition. Does it look like this car has been maintained? Does it look like, have parts been replaced? Do the fluids look fresh? Just compare the mileage and idle hours to the condition, and both the condition of the motor and suspension, drivetrain, all of that, but also interior condition. Does it look like this car's been sat in every day for 20 years? Or does it look like it's, just been driven home once or twice a day?
it's very important. Sometimes you find these cars with really good interior, and other times it's like, who the heck was driving this car before me?
Yeah.
So, that makes sense. What are your five favorite things about the Panther platform?
Well, the biggest thing is their reliability.
Yeah.
And these cars are pretty much bulletproof. It's routine for them to hit 500,000 miles. That's why all the taxi companies love them.
Yep.
Um, they're also fairly cheap. I mean, that's been changing in recent years, but
Hmm.
compared to most other cars, they're pretty cheap.
Yep.
They're relatively simple mechanically. They're easy to work on. I mean, they're they're the last of the body on frame cars, so everything's nice and accessible. If anything happens to it, you just swap it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just working on my car today with a friend, and there was a little bit of problems, but it was really easy compared to with like the newer
Mm-hmm.
cars. I seen a video like the newer cars that shut off at the red light and turn back on.
Yeah.
The starter,
Mm-hmm.
the starter is like in the transmission, so I have to take the transmission out just to change the starter. And
Yeah. It's a
that's
lot of added wear.
yeah, that's too much
Mm-hmm.
work.
Luckily, on newer cars, a lot of them you can disable that feature.
Oh, really?
Not all, so
I didn't know that.
yeah,
I always found that feature kind of pointless. I never understood it. Maybe
saves gas.
true, but then the starter is just like continuously.
Yeah, but a starter's considered a wear item, so it's going to be something that needs to be replaced
It
anyway.
is.
And from a design standpoint, cars aren't expected to last forever. I mean, most cars are designed to last 100,000 miles, and
Yeah,
that's it. They're
true.
supposed to be replaced after that, or after 10 years.
Yep.
They're not made to last as long as we tend to keep them.
Well, there is one guy on YouTube. I'm not sure if you've seen the video. He has a Crown Victoria LX, an older gentleman, and the car reached 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah,
Just yeah, just
there's a few of them.
yeah, just normal maintenance, no
Hmm.
modification, nothing. I'm like, that's crazy. That is insane.
That's what's so great about this platform.
Yep, they last forever. As long as you take care of them, they'll last you forever. Um, Another question I had: if people are experiencing electrical issues, what would be the first 3 steps that you would recommend in order to repair that?
All right. Well, first of all the people asking on, Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, whatever with their issues, the most important information you need to give is the year and the model. Things change. Every year, the wiring is different. So if you don't give that information, we can't give you specific answers. Now, if you're troubleshooting it yourself, it's very helpful to get yourself a set of wiring diagrams. You can buy the Ford workshop manual wiring diagrams. You can find them on eBay for like $50. And that'll tell you every single wire that's in your car. It's specific to the year and the model. With that, you can diagnose 90% of issues yourself if you know how to read an electrical diagram.
Okay.
Um, Other than that, it's, basics. I mean, power starts at the battery, it goes through a fuse, it might pass through a relay. Um, then it's wiring from there to the component. So get a voltage meter, make sure you have power, make sure you have a good ground. Check every connector in between, make sure nothing's corroded. The wiring diagrams would help you with that, telling you where everything is and what color wires. Yeah.
Not to mention the. Do you use the manual at all? Because I know the manual has a chart that has the whole
That
fuse
that
box.
one will have a fuse chart, which is decent for, a quick check, just make
Yeah.
sure the fuse hasn't blown.
Yeah.
But for more in-depth troubleshooting, you have to get an actual wiring diagram.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, when a fuse is blown, that's not the end of it. Now you have to find out, why did the fuse blow?
Hmm. That's a very that's
Yeah.
that then it gets a little bit deeper. Like why the heck
Mm-hmm.
did it happen?
Just
That makes
because
sense.
you replaced the fuse and it worked again doesn't mean you fixed the problem.
Yeah, because that fuse can go as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's
And there are some weak spots on the wiring in these cars. For example, behind the engine on the passenger side, there's a stud sticking out of the motor that rubs against the harness. There's also a bracket underneath the brake booster rubbing against the harness, and eventually that stuff rubs through. It makes it through the plastic shielding and then starts digging into the wires themselves. Eventually, the wires break. And in front end accidents, damage a lot of wiring where it goes from the fenders into the radiator core support area. Yeah. So you gotta once you get into this platform, you can identify there's a lot of really simple common spots. There's like 10 different spots where 90% of the issues occur.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool. So what was one of the hardest things that you had to figure out about the Panther platform?
Mhm. uh, well, for one thing, the community being cheap cars, we unfortunately have a lot of cheap owners who like to band-aid
Yep.
things. So the correct fix for a problem is usually not the one that gets done. So if you're buying one of these used, you have to watch out for things the previous owner has done. There's and especially police ones, because decommissioned police cars, when they remove all their equipment, they're not the most gentle and not the most careful. They'll leave exposed wires everywhere that are still hot. They often accidentally cut factory wires. You can have all sorts of gremlins that are caused by just poorly removed equipment.
Yep.
So it's figuring out each individual car's quirks from its prior life.
Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge to electrical issues.
That's that makes a lot of sense. It must be really hard to diagnose like what exactly a problem is. Like all the tests you might
It can
have.
be.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I've never really had to deal with electrical problems myself, so um, again, like you said, replacing a fuse is one thing, but then finding out why that fuse, for example, went out is
Hmm.
probably very intricate. So
Luckily, we have a lot of knowledgeable people in the community
yeah,
who, like me, know most of the wires in the car, and they'll see the pattern of all of these problems, point to this one specific thing.
that's that's crazy,
So
man.
never be afraid to ask for help.
So we're all here for it. We all love these cars, man. We all have a problem. Um, so what Panthers have you owned? And what Panther do you currently own? I think you already spoke about this. You're driving in
Yeah, yeah.
'08 right now. You said?
Let's see. Right now, I have a 2008 P71.
Okay.
Before that, I had a '07. I've had an '09, a '99, an '04, an '05. I mean, I've pretty much owned them all, but I've basically always stuck with P71s.
Okay.
I mean, I've had a few LXs as parts cars, just whatever fell into my hands at the time.
Nice. Have you ever driven an Arrow?
Yeah,
What year
I've
was the
never
Arrow?
owned an Arrow, but
Uh,
I've driven one.
do you have any? Do you have any opinions or any ideas on Arrows compared to the other project?
Right.
Because Arrow is like my favorite body style Panther, so that
Hmm.
was like one of my main questions I wanted to ask you.
I mean, I myself prefer the newer cars, like specifically '06 and
Okay.
up, but I mean, it's all opinion. Everyone has their preferences.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
Arrows, I wish I could have the aluminum hood and trunk from an Arrow instead of the steel ones on the '98 and newer.
Yep. Arrows are fun.
Yeah,
The
and a lot
suspension.
of people prefer that drive-by cable compared to the newer drive-by wire.
Yep. I think it's the body style for me. I
Hmm.
mean, and they don't drive the best, especially on the highway. Like going over 60, 65, those cars, they don't feel safe. But I mean, they
Yeah.
look very good. So, um, another question is, what are some of the differences with intake manifolds between the years?
Okay. So 2000 and older are what are known as NPI, non-performance improved,
Okay.
whereas '01 and newer are PI, performance improved. A lot of people think that that stands for police interceptor and only the P71's got it. No, it's all Panthers. Now, other than that, '01 through '11 are all the same. except in 2006, the coolant temperature sensor was deleted. So the port on the intake was capped off from the factory. Now, if you're getting a replacement intake, basically all of them have that port for the sensor, and most of them will also come with a plug for it. If not, you just need a 3/8-inch NPT pitch plug. But other than that, they're all swappable. And if you have an older car, Ford stopped making the NPI intakes years ago. Now, Dorman still makes them, so you have that option. I mean, obviously, they're not as good and don't last nearly as long, but you have that option. You can upgrade to the PI intake, and in doing so, you'll gain about 10 horsepower. To do that, you just need to swap in the newer O1 Plus heater return pipe, which is the metal tube running underneath the intake going to the water pump. But you should be replacing that part anyway because they rust out. Now, you just need to replace that, use some PI gaskets. Then, because the ports are a little bit different, you'll need to put a glob of RTV into the corners of the coolant ports where the gaskets don't quite line up. But other than that, it's a pretty direct swap. So, free 10 horsepower gain.
That's crazy. So, what is your opinion on the new PI intakes that were re-released?
Well, I haven't had my hands on one yet. I very much like that the crossover is fully aluminum all the way down to the block. There's no more plastic layer. That's 95% of your fails right there.
Yeah,
The nipple for the heater core hose on the back is also aluminum. So that intake should be pretty much bulletproof and should last way longer than the original factory ones did.
yeah. I've
So,
heard, I've heard some guys say they don't like the Dorman ones. I've heard
mhm.
that a lot. Um,
So
but some
the
guys, I've also heard that the new PI intake is kind of very similar, pretty much the same as the Dorman. Um,
Yeah, the
that's
design is very similar, so there are concerns about a horsepower loss, but you're in a 4,000-pound car with 250 horsepower. You're not going to notice a loss of 5 horsepower.
yeah,
Um, but in regards to the Dorman, though, there's the issue of there's Dorman, and then there's all the Chinese copies of the Dorman. Now, an actual Dorman intake, you're not going to find that for less than, $150 on sale.
yeah,
So
yeah,
a lot of people are buying those $80 to $120 ones,
yeah, yeah.
especially the ones you find on Amazon. And a lot of them are even labeled as Dorman and will have a Dorman logo on them, but they're actually counterfeits.
Wow.
And those ones don't last at
Yeah,
all. I mean, you'll get a year or two out of them.
yeah. You don't want to
Whereas,
put those in your car, I can imagine.
yeah, if you get an actual Dorman one, those ones are usually good for 5 to 8 years. But if at all possible, you definitely want to get an OEM one, which would last, 10, 15 years, just like the original did.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. And I didn't know that they were like Chinese knockoffs though. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What are those like Timu intakes or something like that?
Yeah, there's 50 different brands of them now because,
Mhm.
those companies just keep changing their names to get past restrictions.
Definitely.
So most of them have like 3-letter names.
That's crazy. That'd be a good project to buy one and see like how long it would actually last. Drive it
Mm-hmm.
off the ground. That'd be interesting. Your recommendations on dealing with LCM issues on certain model years.
Okay. So there is the LCM recall, which affects '03 through '05. Now, a lot of issues are not actually the LCM. A lot of people are too quick to condemn the LCM. Uh, First of all, brake lights, reverse lights, and interior lights, those aren't an LCM issue. Those are going to be something else. The issues with LCMs involve the headlights, high beams, and sometimes the running lights.
Okay.
Now, for those of you with a 03 through 05, the recall does not replace the LCM anymore. They ran out of them years ago. The recall now will install a bypass harness that basically takes all of the load off the LCM. Unfortunately, this harness uses the LCM as a signal to trigger it. So if your LCM, if the headlight relays in it are completely shot, that bypass harness isn't going to work either. But if your LCM is still good, you can get that bypass relay, and that will keep it from ever blowing in the first place because there will be no current going through the LCM relays. You also have the option of buying the individual relays and soldering them into the LCM yourself. There's several write-ups on crownvic.net about that and on YouTube. So it's pretty easy to repair them yourself if you know how to solder. Now for the newer cars, the relays were upgraded in 2008, and they doubled the number of wires that were feeding them. So that basically eliminated the LCM issue, which is why the recall ended in 06. So if you have a newer car, you basically don't have to worry about it. Now, a lot of issues, though, aren't actually the LCM if you have a P71, because most police departments will install a headlight flasher, which means they're cutting into the high beam wiring somewhere. They're going to be cutting the factory headlight wiring. And usually, at least half the time, the issues are their connections of the wiring. Usually when they decommission it, they'll just rip out their flasher module, and sometimes they don't even reconnect the wires. Sometimes they'll just use a butt splice that fails after a few years.
Yeah.
So before you replace an LCM, look through your wiring next to the headlight. Look for damage.
Yeah, I have an 03, so that's kind of interesting that you said that.
Yeah.
There's something here in the comments. What about the steering rack? Was there ever a recall on that?
Not on the rack itself. For 03 and newer, there is a recall for the intermediate steering shaft, which the U-joints on it will rust up. So if you have stiff steering, you can try spraying some WD-40 or something on those U-joints. If the problem gets better, you need to replace that shaft. Now, the recall will replace that shaft, but only in about 10 states, which are the states that have issues with rust and road salt. The rest of the states, they won't replace it. Well, some dealers might if they don't notice they're not supposed to. Yeah. There is also a recall for the bearing that's in the steering column, which is a green plastic sleeve that's at the base of the column. That thing is held in by little plastic clips, which can break, allowing the bearing to fall out of the column. And then that allows the shaft to wiggle enough that it completely separates from the column and falls out. Then you lose your steering. So you should look underneath your steering wheel and make sure that that green collar is fully inserted still. If it's popped out even a little bit, you need to have it checked to see if you have the recall open. Hopefully you have a dealer nearby who still has the tool to fix that. Otherwise, you're going to want to replace that column.
That's good information. Driving with overdrive off or on?
Just leave it on. I mean, it's an automatic transmission. It's going to do its own thing.
Yeah.
If you are towing a trailer or if you're climbing a mountain, then you can turn it off. Or if you're going to do a wide open throttle pull, you should probably turn it off just so that you stay in that lower gear. But 99% of your driving, just leave it on.
That's good to know. That's really good to know. And I guess the last question I have for you, this evening is if you could have any Panther, what would be your top three and why for each one?
If I could have any, I would want a Grand Marquis GSL, which are the M70 VIN. Those are the long wheelbase Grand
Yeah,
Marquis.
I've
They're
seen those.
very rare.
There's
Yep.
one in
They
South
were
Arabia.
only available for the GCC countries, so Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE. Yeah, overseas only, so you won't find them around here. Um, I would also like to have a 92 P75 LX touring sedan, perhaps the rarest of all the Panthers. It was only available for that 1 year. It's basically you get an LX that has all of the P71 upgrades to the suspension and the engine.
And you said that was a 92 P7.
P75.
I don't think I've ever heard of that until today. I think
Yeah, that was the only year.
that's crazy. I'm gonna check that out.
92 were also the year that didn't have a grill. So
So what did the front look like?
instead of having that silver grill up front, it's just a
It was
flat
just
panel, the same color as the car.
that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
hmm And for a third one, ooh, well, I could go with the Lincoln Town Car L89 Ballistic Protection Series, the Ford factory bulletproof limos.
Oh man, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've heard of that one either.
They're very rare.
I'm gonna have to message you. You have to send me some like the rarest Panther that you know because that 92 sounds really crazy actually.
Mm-hmm. And then if you really want to live the dream, you could get one of the Odorant driving school Crown Vics, which a lot of people know about those. There were 13 of them made. They were, I want to say they were 99s, and the Odorant swapped them for 5.0s with a 5-speed transmission.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mhm.
And did they look any different or
Not really. Um, From the outside, they look pretty much stock, except, I mean, they've got racing seats and stuff like that. But
cool?
oh no, actually, I think they put hood scoops on them, or cowl hoods to fit the 5.0.
Yeah, that's insane. In a Crown Vic. Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
had to find one. That's probably easily $1 million bid.
There was
That's
one that just sold last year for an outrageous price.
I believe it. That's freaking crazy. That's insane. So, is there anything else you want to share? You want to speak about? Any shout outs you want to make?
uh,
Your Facebook pages? I don't know your Lego platforms.
well, if you want to see my Lego stuff, just search for my name on Flickr, flickr.com/David Hensley. Um, Not much Crown Vic related there, though, except for the ones I held up
So,
earlier.
pretty cool.
Let's see. What else can we talk about?
How
There is definitely a lot of misinformation about these cars, especially on YouTube. So don't believe everything you see.
do you have a
Um,
YouTube channel
I
yourself?
do not.
Uh, okay. Have you
I
thought about it?
probably should with all the repairs and stuff I do.
Yeah. The amount of stuff that you know, I feel like you should have one. I mean, people
Yeah,
would probably love that content.
it's having the time to make stuff,
Yeah,
though.
and editing gets annoying sometimes too. So,
Plus, I'm in Seattle, so it's raining 90% of the time.
that's
Makes it hard to
crazy.
work on cars.
So, have you ever attended any Panther meets up there in Seattle?
Yeah, yeah. We have a couple local clubs.
The Evergreen?
Actually, I'm wearing that shirt there.
Nice.
So yeah, we have meets pretty much every month. I unfortunately keep getting overtime at work, so I've been missing most of them lately. But I make it whenever I can.
Nothing wrong with some extra money though.
Yeah, Well,
Yeah, evergreen,
I I'm a
evergreen.
foreman, so my presence is usually required.
Uh, see, yeah, you can't really just call out.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Evergreen Panthers? Is that that was
Yeah.
what the T-shirt said?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those guys are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, great white group. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm in their chat. I talk to them, most days of the week. I attend a lot of their meets whenever I can.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his car is cool. Ghost Vic
Mm-hmm.
is cool. Kai, it was a Kai K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
His
yeah,
car,
I've known most of them for years. They've all been to my house. I've worked on most of their cars.
that's sick. Yeah, that green Crown Vic that Kai K has is that's something else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are there are there a lot of Panthers in that
Yeah,
area other than you guys? Do you guys just see them around like a lot of older people and stuff, or
yeah. I mean, it's like the rest of the country. They're all over.
yeah,
There's still quite a few of them used by smaller police departments out here. Tacoma Police Department still has a lot of them driving around.
right?
State Patrol still has a few. I mean, they're getting rarer, but you still see them pretty much every day.
That's freaking crazy. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I want to hang out up there. So when you was there when Love What You Drive just went to Seattle.
Hmm.
I don't know if he was there, the guy from New Jersey
I
with the
wasn't.
YouTube channel.
No.
Yeah, he just flew out there and did some interviews. He was getting that foreman money. That's why.
Probably.
What's up? That's freaking awesome. So are there any cars like away from Panthers that you're into, Mustangs or?
Not really. This is pretty much my only obsession.
Hmm,
Um, my other cars are a Toyota RAV4 and a Dodge 3500.
nice. I'm pretty sure the Dodge is fun and snows up there, so yeah, I know you ripped that thing through the snow.
Nah, we mostly have it to tow the horse trailer.
Okay, that's really cool.
That's my wife's hobby.
Oh, going through the snow. Oh, the horse
No,
trailer.
no, horse.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
So how does she feel about your whole Panther madness?
Okay, so she works in IT, so she's very techy. She likes all the technology. She likes her car to have 5,000 buttons on the steering
Hmm,
wheel, so
you're
she absolutely hates my car.
too old school.
But she has accepted and come to terms with the fact that there will always be a Crown Vic in my driveway.
Yeah, yeah. That happened.
Um, However, she did say I'm not allowed to buy any more parts cars and strip them down in my driveway. So that's definitely slowed down my selling of parts.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool that she's accepted the Crown Vic love though.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait till you take that foreman money and bring home the GSL from Saudi Arabia.
The horse eats it all.
That's, that's really cool.
Uh, we could talk about all the modifications I've done to my car.
Yeah, how about that?
All
Like
right.
what are like the some of the craziest modifications you've made? Like have you ever supercharged anything or
No. So my car is my daily driver.
nice?
So I haven't really done any engine or performance mods. I mean, performance wise, all I've really done is I've got the ADTR sway bars and control arms and Watts link.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I've of course got a Marty tune, but that's about it. But the rest of my car, the interior, all of my mods have been about comfort. So I mean, for starters, I've got Lincoln Town car seats from a Signature L, so
Um,
heated front and rear. I've wired up the power passenger seat.
that's
Um,
crazy.
I've got a full dynamite install on every square inch of the interior, so my car is dead silent on the inside. Uh, I've converted all of the interior lighting to blue. Every single switch, button, cluster, everything. Um, so yeah, I've added grab handles to the roof from a town car, which are also lighted.
Yep.
Those are nice. Gotta have, add the factory keyless entry and the cruise control. But I also have a CompuStar remote start system that I installed myself. What else?
What about
Hidden kill
what
switches.
about the sound system? Are you a music guy?
I am not.
Ah,
My ears are terrible, so
there's
stock
nothing wrong with
speakers are just fine for me. I don't notice the
it.
difference.
Okay, okay. I get that.
Yeah. Oh, built my own projector headlights.
Nice.
Yeah, using the Marimoto DS2s. So basically, came out with something exactly the same as what Kevin New with Panther Lights
That's good.
produces.
That's
He actually
awesome.
gave me a lot of advice and help with the process.
Nice. Big
Yeah.
shout out to Panther Lights. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's very popular and very busy. So you order from him, you wait a while.
Yep. Which
That's the only downside.
is good
But
for him.
money well spent, though. His
Yeah.
products are definitely worth it.
Yeah. Dale Rosine, who was gonna join tonight, he shot the film for called Panther People.
Okay,
And
yeah.
he has a set of Panther Lights in his Grand Marquis, and it looks great. So it definitely changes like the look and the style of the car. Definitely. Well, what about the taillights? Do you have like upgraded taillights? Are those with ambers
Stock,
or anything?
stock housings with LEDs.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, I guess we could talk about that. If you're switching to LED, I mean, these cars have monitored lighting circuits. So you put in LEDs, you're going to get the hyper flash. Your turn signals will be blinking flash because it'll think a bulb is out. There are two ways to fix this. You can install the bypass resistors, which I don't recommend because they get very hot and they are known to cause fires. If you do go that route, install them on the front turn signals only. Put
Yeah.
all three resistors on the front turn signal. It'll all work the same, but they won't be cooked while you are holding the brakes. You also need to screw them to metal. They have to be attached to metal for cooling. Otherwise, they overheat and they melt and catch on fire. But the better way to do it is to just bypass the flasher on the LCM.
Yeah.
So there's two wires you need to cut. There's a white-red wire, which is the power going into the LCM, and a light blue wire, which is the flasher going out. Just cut those two wires, connect them to a 2-pin flasher, and you never have to worry about it again. Now, if you have an 06 and newer, there's two of each of those wires. Just cut them all, connect them all to the new relay. Simple.
And what are you doing for wheels? You got Steelers on the car? Mustang wheel?
Right now, I have factory Steelies. I decided to buy a brand new set of them when they went on clearance because Ford ran out of stock. But I've also been running some Dodge Charger Steelies just because I like the look.
That's crazy.
Yeah, been meaning to get some Explorer Steelies. Those ones have a smaller center bore, so you need to hone out the bore
Yeah.
for the larger hub on these cars. But yeah,
What do you think of Salvania lights?
they're a decent brand. I mean, any of the name brands are fine. Philips, Sylvania, Leviton, Lithonia. Yeah, they're all fine. One issue is people like to put LED headlights in. These cars have halogen reflector housings. LEDs don't work very well in them. And you can get a nice bright light, and yeah, it'll be brighter for you to see, but you're also going to blind everyone else around you. So if you want to upgrade the headlights, you should go through the work to put in projector housings or buy a set of projectors. There are even a few off-the-shelf projector options available for these cars. I mean, they can be a little expensive and hard to find, but there are people that make them. And if you have the money, you should definitely get a set from Kevin at Panther Lights.
definitely.
But yeah, don't
Um,
just buy cheap LED bulbs and throw them in. That just makes the situation worse.
so on your Vic, it sounds like you have a lot done to it. I actually
Yeah,
need to check it out. I think I've seen it. That's your profile picture on Facebook, right?
yes it is.
Yeah, yeah, that part looks great. I love those wheels. Are you running an exhaust system on there?
No, it's still stock.
Nice. Do you plan on straight piping and taking the deleting cats and mufflers?
No, not really. I I prefer to keep it quiet.
Yeah,
I like my neighbors.
uh,
I leave for work at like 4 in the morning,
yeah,
so I can't
yeah.
get too obnoxious.
That cold start at 4 in the morning would
hmm
piss everybody off.
hmm
Yeah,
I mean, I have thought about putting in some cutouts or something. That way I
yeah,
can make it loud when I want to. But
that's what's up. Yeah, my Grand Marquis is stuck and it's killing me. I want a little bit of noise, even just a muffler would be okay.
hmm
That's insane. So, like, so as far as like working on other people's cars, like, what was the most fun thing you would say you've done as far as helping people mod their car?
Well, I'm an
Because I mean,
electrician for work, so when most people have me work on their car for mods, it's doing the wiring part of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're the guy that knows wiring. Nobody wants to touch wiring ever in this
hmm
wiring.
hmm
But
I mean, I've done wiring modifications for a handful of manual swaps, wiring up a new brake switch, things like
yeah,
that, bypassing transmission sensors. So that's probably the most fun result. In terms of most fun work, though, I haven't gotten anything too crazy with other people's cars. Um, like I've installed a lot of push bars and a lot of spotlights in cars that didn't have any.
that's
That's
crazy.
always fun, drilling through the A pillar.
That must take
Um,
precision, though.
hmm?
That must take precision. You don't want to like
yeah.
hit the spotlight in the wrong spot.
There's a special kit with a bracket you should buy, and that guides your drill. Make
Yeah,
sure it goes in the right spot. It's definitely not something to try yourself if you can find someone to do it for you.
yeah. So you worked on Great White's car, for example.
Yeah.
What have you done on that car? Unless
Uh,
it's a secret, you don't want anybody to
what
know
have I
yet.
done on his car? Let's see. I want to say I put in his window bars. I don't know. He does a lot of work himself,
I believe
like
it.
all of his paint mods and stuff he did himself. So mostly he just comes over to buy parts from me.
Yeah, yeah. He has a Panther Spotlight video on the YouTube channel where he talks about
Mhm.
the entire. That car is well put together.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely changed a lot over the years.
yeah. I can
Always
imagine.
getting better.
I love the rings on the Spotlight.
Well,
I
let's
love
see.
how they.
Kai's car, his green car, that one had an alternator issue a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
I had to troubleshoot that. Turned out to be a broken wire behind the engine. Took me a couple hours to find that.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
That's crazy. And then how long did it take you to repair it?
Once I found the broken wire, it was like
It was
5 minutes.
nothing.
Just pull out the soldering gun and yeah, splice it back together.
But you guys thought it was an alternator, so we're just gonna swap it in and out, and it wasn't
Well,
even that.
that's why he called me. He replaced the alternator and it still wasn't working. So I came out, brought my laptop, did a full diagnostics, saw that, okay, it's sending a command to the alternator, but it is not receiving a confirmation.
Yeah,
So then I started on doing connectors and checking with a meter, doing continuity tests, and oh, yep, this wire's not connected.
that's insane.
So then it start digging through the harness and find where it's broken.
So how did you like learn wiring? Like, because a lot of people do not, even if it's just like audio systems and stuff, a lot of people do not like to touch wiring at all.
I mean, I'll be honest, me being an electrician, being trained by the union to read electrical diagrams certainly
Yeah,
helps.
yeah,
But
that makes sense. Okay.
um, wiring in cars is generally pretty simple. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all a 12-volt system. Anything metal is ground. Black wire is always ground. If the wire's not black, then it's power. You basically just have to get a basic understanding of wiring diagrams, and I mean, there's hundreds of videos on YouTube that teach you how to read a diagram. So learn how to read a diagram and learn how a 5-pin relay works, and that'll tell you 90% of what you need to know to wire up a car.
And another question that just hit me now is like, what type of driver are you? Are you like a drag strip or a circle track type of guy, or do you just like because you keep your car stock
Yeah,
as far as
I'm just a daily driver. I mean, I'm a little too aggressive with my driving in traffic, but I don't do anything crazy. I just drive to work.
so you don't burn out at lights on a Friday night? You know,
No, I like my
yeah,
tires.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's fun to do, but it's hard on the car.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
get that. That's
I
cool.
I, I intend to keep my car forever, so
That's really cool.
I try to go easy on it.
Yeah, me too. Like I take these road trips for Panther meets and all my friends. Are you familiar with Homework Racing?
No.
This car's pretty cool. I have to send it to you. But this guy is literally a hoon, and I'm trying to follow him for 14 hours, and he's going 95, and I'm usually 35 in my Grand Marquis. So I kind of relate. I'm not like the craziest driver
Yeah.
myself, so that's really cool. So how like 'cause I'm thinking about swapping the seats in my Grand Marquis. How hard is it? How hard was it to put the town car seats in the Crown Vic?
So the wiring is different. Now, a Crown Vic and a Grand Marquis, those seats are direct swap.
Yeah,
As long as you're in the right year range. But town car, so the easiest way to swap town car seats is to get a a frame from a P71
yep,
of the correct year and just swap the covers from the town car onto the P71 frames. That will give you all the correct wiring. Now, depending on the year, you might have to extend the lumbar button wires, just 3 wires, just because the buttons are on the ground Vic, they're on the side of the seat, on the town car, they're on the front of the seat.
okay,
But other than that, it's basically a direct swap. If you're not going to do it that way, you have to repin the wiring connectors if it's the same year, or you have to splice on the correct connector if you're outside of the right year range.
yeah,
You also have to pay attention to whether or not your car has side airbags. They were optional before 2009, whereas on the town car, they were standard since 2001. All town car seats have airbags.
that's
If your car does not have airbags, it has resistors instead. You need to grab those resistors, put them into the new seats. Now, the hardest part is the passenger seat has an OCS module, Occupant Classification System. That's the weight sensor. So there's a module that's riveted onto the bottom of the passenger seat. You need to swap that if you're trying to use the town car frame, because even though they're the same module, they're programmed differently. That'll throw the airbag light and it'll disable your side airbags and your passenger airbag.
yep.
Um,
That sounds like a project.
yeah. Now, if you're in a P71, your car is not wired for power passenger seats. And manual town car seats do exist, but they are very rare. Like 90% of them are power. You can
Yep,
add the wiring for the power seat. It's pretty simple. It's just, it's 10 wires going straight from the seat to the buttons in the door. Then all you need to do is connect it to ground in the kick panel and attach it to power. For power, you're going to want to go to the black and white wire on the trunk release button in the dash. That's actually the power seat circuit.
that's insane. You
Yeah.
you know a lot about a lot of stuff.
I mean, I've done most of it myself.
That,
So most
that's
of my
cool.
knowledge is from hands-on
Just
experience.
yeah. That's the only way to learn most things,
Mm-hmm.
really.
There's not really any bolts left on these cars that I haven't touched.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, because I've been thinking about it. I like my seats, but I'm so used to having leather seats. This is my fifth Panther I'm on now, and the cloth seats are comfortable, but I just like leather seats, especially in the Grandma. So I'm thinking about swapping the seats out. But my local junkyard had like seven Panthers, maybe like last summer, and my friend I was hanging out with today was like, "Yeah, there's only like three left there," and I'm like, "Wow."
They're
So
getting rarer.
they're
Yeah, it's used to be 20 in the junkyards near me, and now there's only one or two at a time.
insane. And everything's probably gone. The seats, the radios, the
Mhm.
leather. Somebody called you walking Wikipedia. You have so many nicknames.
Yeah, Chad. Yeah, I talk to him all the time.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I see him in the comment section a lot. He's really cool. What's your
Hmm. He's also pretty knowledgeable.
What's your favorite nickname out of all the nicknames? I mean, every time G talks about you, he says you're a wealth of knowledge.
Hmm.
You're a Panther Platform guru, and then you said you have a few different nicknames. So,
I mean, I'm fine with just David. I mean, my head's already big enough. I don't need my ego inflated.
um,
It's already hard to get through
yeah,
doors.
that's cool though. That's confidence, man. That's really sick.
I mean, I'm just here to help. So
You should think about a YouTube channel, man.
yeah, those take time. Time's not something I have.
So being a foreman and
Hmm.
your own hobbies and being married, I could imagine. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go to the comments really quick.
Yeah.
What's up to everybody that's in the live today? We're here with David Hensley. If you guys just joined, he has many different nicknames. They call him the Wizard, the Walking Wikipedia, Panther Guru. He knows a lot. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to Panther Platform cards. Do you want to give people off the top of your head really quick? Again, the Facebook pages that you run, so they can probably check it out and go join them.
Um, let's see. The one I post the most information in would be Crown Victoria P71, P7B. Um, but I'm in all of the groups. I mean, if you ask a question in any group, I'll probably see it at some point.
That's cool.
But other than that, Crown Victoria Outlaws, 2005, 2011, um, Interceptor Owners Forum. Most of those big groups I'm part of.
Nice. I'm in so many different Facebook groups for Panthers. There's so
Mm-hmm.
That's another conversation. There's so many Panther groups.
Yeah, yeah. There's about 100 of them.
Yeah, there's probably even more than that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. And I think that's all I had for you this evening. Um, not sure if you want to talk about anything else on your mind
Oh, you
that
know what? G wanted to talk about transmissions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of myth about transmissions. First of all, people think the interceptors have a stronger transmission. They don't.
Yep.
They do have a higher stall torque converter, but that's not really a part of the transmission. Um, so in terms of replacing the transmission, first thing you have to know is that P71 and town cars have a long tail transmission. Civilian Vics and Grand Marquis have a short tail transmission. You can use a short tail transmission in a P71 if you add a drive shaft spacer, which Chris at ATTR sells. You can use a long transmission in a civilian model if you swap in this shorter aluminum drive shaft. Now, in terms of year interchange, it's basically 98 through 2000, 2001 2001 through 2002. You can swap between those if you swap the OSS sensor. Now, 2003 can use a 2001 and 2002 car or transmission, but a 2002 and older cannot use a 2003 and newer transmission because the VSS sensor got deleted. 2004 is all on its own. A 2004 transmission will only work in a 2004. You can use a 2005 and newer transmission in a 2004 if you swap the EPC solenoid. If you do not swap it, it'll work for a couple years and then it'll destroy itself because the pressure is wrong. After that, 2005 through 2008 are direct swap. 2009 through 2011 are direct swap. And you can swap between those if you swap all of the internal electrical, the harness, the solenoids, the case connector.
Yes. See, I didn't know that about 2004. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Now, most people obsess with the designation of the transmission, whether it's a 4R70W, a 4R75W, a 4R75E. That's mostly meaningless. Just ignore it. First of all, 90% of transmissions will call any of them a 4R70W because they're 95% the same. It's just some electronics differences that they don't care about. But also, everything from 95 to 2004 is a 4R70W. But there were dozens of changes in that time. What you really need to pay attention to is the year. The model doesn't matter. Just look at the year. There's also a lot of people that think 2005 is a standalone year. It's not. Ford just is really weird about changing names and designations, and even though nothing changes, they'll change the part number.
Great White said he has to come drop off a.
Yeah, he's usually dropping parts off here at least a few times a year. Usually picking stuff up too. Oh, did I lose you?
I'm still here. I was just checking.
Okay.
Yeah. So, do you have any? I'm not sure if I asked this. Do you have any favorite Panther builds out there?
Not really. I mean, like I said, I'm a daily driver, so builds aren't really my thing. I mean, I respect the work that people do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not my taste. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Yeah. I mean, anything that the community does, though, is great.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like people like Chris that go the extra mile to make products made for these cars.
Yeah, what he does is insane too, though.
Mm-hmm. And people like Marty. Yeah.
Yep. Chris from ADTR. He has a good site. There's a whole 5-speed manual swap kit that he sells. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, everyone's car is different. Everyone has different goals.
Yep.
So we all just love these cars. No one's better than any other.
Our cars are our personalities, pretty much, when it comes to Panthers, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. Would you ever 5-speed swap your Crown Vic? I know you're really a daily driver, stock guy,
but nah, I probably wouldn't. It's just not worth the effort for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. That and Seattle has a lot of traffic, and most of my work is during rush hour, so I'd get real tired of that clutch.
You don't want to do that. G does that. He lives in Philly, and he hates it. He does not enjoy it. He usually drives in the Poconos, which is more free, open in the woods, but driving in a major city is terrible, especially in a Vic. It's a bigger car, so. How do you feel about Mo Speed Shot and their tuning ability?
Yeah, I've been using his tune for almost a decade now. Every Vic I've owned for the last 10 years has had his tune. Love it. Worth every penny. Even if you have a stock car, you should buy his tune.
It makes a big difference. I think we spoke about this the last live.
Yep.
I have an 03 Grand Marquis in its stock, other than like the wheels and the system on the inside. Um, there's a big difference. I got to drive an 04 that had a Marty tune, and I'm just like blown away. Like, there's a big difference between having a tune and not having a tune. So
yeah, once you drive a tuned Panther, you're never going to drive a stock one again.
yeah, night and day. So it makes me question like, what is wrong with my car? It needs a tune, and that's what's wrong with it. Um, the guys from ADTR, how do you feel about what they do?
Love them. Yeah, I buy any of their products that I can. I've got their full, suspension set up on my car, except for the coilovers.
Yep.
So, yeah. If I ever have money, I'll buy more.
Some of the guys in the comments are calling your house to pick and pull.
I do have a lot of parts.
That's
Yeah, so if anyone ever needs any parts, or feel free to ask if I have it. I have a whole shed full.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what is it like? What is it like driving in Seattle? Like, you're literally in Seattle.
Yeah, I live in Kent, which is about 15 minutes south of Seattle. I work in Seattle though, and this whole area, the whole greater Seattle area, is one big traffic jam for most of the day.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, how are the roads there? Are there a lot of potholes, or are the roads pretty smooth?
It varies from city to city. For the most part, they're in decent shape, but in the middle of downtown, they can be pretty bad.
Yeah, the potholes here. I'm in Massachusetts, so the potholes here are insane. It's
Well, you got the hard winters that destroy the roads.
exactly the
Yeah.
salt and the plows.
Our area doesn't get too cold. We just have a lot of water.
I wouldn't mind that. But then dealing with rain a lot has to be annoying a little bit too, though.
Rain's better than snow,
It is better than snow.
especially since we don't have all the salt.
I'd much rather deal with a pouring raining day than wake up in the stupid snow outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our cars are a lot less rusty than most of the country.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, did you go to Vegas back in June
I did
for the meet that they
not know. I was working.
Yep, me too. I couldn't make it because of work. I'm gonna make it this year. I have to. So maybe we'll meet in person in Vegas this year. If you
Maybe.
you're the foreman guy, so
If I ever get any time off.
gotta respect that, man. I can imagine how tough that is.
Mm-hmm.
But after a long day, you drive a Panther home, so
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
That's why all of my mods have made the interior more comfortable.
Yep. Into the comments.
If anyone had any questions about these cars, feel free to ask.
Yep. I pretty much asked all my questions. I don't know if there's any other topics that you have that you wanted to speak about.
No, we've pretty much covered it all.
Yes, sir. Just hanging out at this point. So, what else can I come up with? I want to ask a couple more questions. As far as Panthers, you're a Panther. A little bit personal. Does the AC work?
Yeah.
Nice. You know that a lot of people with ACs go out right before the summertime.
Yeah. Usually it's the accumulator going out.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
happens to me every summer.
those rust
So
out.
I'm like, dude, my AC works all winter. Then as soon as May hits, no more AC on. I'm like, all right, I see where
Mm-hmm.
we're messed up.
And if it's not the AC, then it's the blend door actuator.
Yep. And I was just talking about that today. Was I mean, that's like terrible. Repairing those. A lot
Well,
of
if
people
you're ever in Seattle, I'll swap it for you.
don't you have
I
to
can do
like take
a
off the entire dash and stuff like that?
yeah. So for the blend door actuator, there's two methods. You can open up the glove box and pull out the airbag to get to it, or you can remove the dash. I say remove the dash. So what people don't realize is cars are built on an assembly line. All this thing goes in one piece. The whole dash altogether is held in by like 7 bolts. So I can have the dash out of the car in about 15 minutes. It's a lot less work than going through the airbag. And it's a
Yeah,
nice wide open space. And while you're at it, you can change the heater core because those wear out too. I can replace the heater core and the blend door actuator in an hour and a half, start to finish.
that's
It's
crazy.
not as hard as people think. Just pull the dash. It's easy.
Just take, just take the entire dash out. We was literally talking about that today, and he's like, "Yeah, you have to take out the entire dash." And I don't know if I'd ever want to do that.
Let's see, 3 bolts on the top, one by the passenger door, two on the transmission tunnel.
Yep,
You unbolt the steering shaft, which is one more bolt, and then there's a diagonal brace to the steering column. You remove those, and then the whole dash will just swing right out, and you got
that's
nice
crazy.
wide open access.
Yep. As far as the comments here, Cop Car Jeff, I think the Marty tune is around 550 to 6. I think Ghost Vic is correct.
That's
But
including the brand new tuner.
yeah, so it's definitely worth the money. You'll see a big difference. Maybe a Christmas gift for yourself. Um, I want to get myself a tune for Christmas. Um, but yeah, definitely worth it. But I guess that's it for this evening.
All right.
Thank you for joining me. It was a pleasure meeting you. I've heard great things about you, and I've actually never got to meet you. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like I got smarter Panther-wise talking to you. So
My messages are always open. If anyone ever has any issues or any questions, feel free to message me.
yes, sir. I'll be sure to find a way to promote your Facebook pages or something, or through posting. But I'm pretty sure this Instagram live and this podcast will help. So
Yeah.
hopefully it brings some traffic to what you got going on. So thanks for joining. Thank everybody for joining in tonight, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right.
All
Have a
right,
good
man.
night.
You too. Have a great one.